Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Dion's Daily Dose. So, hope everyone is safe and all right now. Today, here in Michigan City, we have an organized protest that, last I heard, is just a peaceful protest. Some of the language that was used in the post was a little concerning. So my friends and neighbors are a little agitated, hey Dave, good to see you. How you doing? We've seen the reports all through the region now of the marches and the protests. I guess the one in Hammond yesterday could have been a lot worse. Let's put it that way. It could have been a lot worse. We are seeing a lot of looting that's going on in Calumet City, Illinois. I do have some updates for you. I've actually been watching WJOB this morning. This afternoon. They had the mayor on, and he was talking about how it could have gone much worse. He said there was, a lot of yelling, a lot of shouting, stuff like that. But I don't know if you have seen this. There is actually a statement that was released by AG Barr regarding the incidents that are happening. I'm going to share this for you to see it. Here it is. Let me make that full screen for you. This is a statement by Attorney General William Barr. He issued the following statement. With the rioting that is occurring in many of our cities around the country, the voices of peaceful and legitimate protests have been hijacked by violent radical elements. Groups of outside radicals and agitators are exploiting the situation to pursue their own separate, violent, and extremist agenda. It is time to stop watching the violence and to confront and stop it. The continued violence and destruction of property endangers the lives and livelihoods of others and interferes with the rights of peaceful protesters, as well as all other citizens. It also undercuts the urgent work that needs to be done through constructive engagement between affected communities and law enforcement leaders to address legitimate grievances. Preventing reconciliation and driving us apart is the goal of these radical groups, and we cannot let them succeed. It is the responsibility of state and local leaders to ensure that adequate law enforcement resources, including the National Guard where necessary, are deployed on the streets to reestablish law and order. We saw this finally happen in Minneapolis last night, and it worked. Federal law enforcement actions will be directed at apprehending and charging the violent radical agitators who have hijacked peaceful protests and are engaged in violations of federal law. To identify criminal organizers and instigators and to coordinate federal resources with our state and local partners, federal law enforcement is using our existing network of 56 regional FBI Joint Terrorism Task Forces, JTTF. The violence instigated and carried out by Antifa and other similar groups in connection with the rioting is domestic terrorism and will be treated accordingly. Now, we have seen that Trump has declared Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. This has been long coming. I honestly don't know what took so long for this to happen. but I have not had a chance to find the. My understanding is that he wrote an executive order for it. I have not found that executive order as of yet. I see a few things that say Trump, lacking clear authority, has declared it, blah, 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 blah. But I don't see an actual link for uh, the EO that he was supposed to have signed. I know he said that, he tweeted out it will declare Antifa a terrorist group. But again, I'm not seeing a link to the executive order if he did indeed sign one. I don't know what. And you know what, Paul? You're absolutely right. Paul makes a good point. But what needs to have changed long time ago has still policies do. This will all continue. I want to make one thing very clear. I hold the right to peacefully assemble and protest very near and dear. I believe in it. You have the right to address your government with your grievances. And these people, the protesters, they do have grievances. I am not going to discount that. Uh, Many of us have seen the video with the police officer and Mr. Floyd. We've seen what happened. That's a legitimate grievance. Uh, Especially it was some time before charges were filed. People were angry. Charges have now been filed. My understanding is his wife filed for divorce. He is being charged with third-degree murder. To be honest, I didn't even know third-degree murder was a thing. I knew about first and second degree, but let's see here. It says here, Chauvin charged with third degree. Now, one thing I will say as far as the name Chauvin. Now, where I'm from, I actually lived in a town for a little while that the name was pronounced Chauvin. Chauvin. Okay. So when I see that, I want to say Chauvin, but I guess it's Chauvin or Chauvin. I don't know how they actually pronounce it in Minnesota. But so it says here that he was here. Did I share it? No, there we go. It says here that he has actually been charged with third degree murder. Again, I did not realize that third degree was a thing. It says here a third degree crime. This is third degree crimes though, but is defined, apparently facts are got third degree is defined as killing someone unintentionally and not done as part of the commitment of another felony. Another term is this: third degree are those committed with ill will, or in other words, with malice. Okay, so that's in Pittsburgh. I don't know how that relates to Minnesota, but listen, here's the point. There's a big difference between a protest and a riot. Uh, the looting, the destruction of property. These business owners have worked for their whole lives for these things. For those of you who caught the WJOB broadcast earlier, Mayor McDermott had gotten on the radio and was talking about with Hammond, he is instituting 9 p.m. curfew. No one should be out past 9 p.m. He did not work late and things like that, because there are people who will have to be out past 9 p.m., people with jobs. Look, the situation in Hammond could have been far, far worse. It could have been a powder keg, right? Like Calumet City, like Indianapolis, like New York, like Minneapolis, like many of these other cities. You know me, I am not a big Mayor McDermott fan. He was strolling through the crowd. It could have gotten out of hand. I will say this: I respect the man for going out to address the crowd. There, I said it. He attempted to have a civil discourse with them. You know, there are some video, short little video clips of him like strolling through the crowd with his hands in his pockets. Yeah, Paul said Nashville. Yeah, there are many places across the country that are just decimated. There are old staples of the community that have been destroyed by rioters and looting. Um, there are a number of businesses that possibly can't be rebuilt. And one of the things that McDermott said, I didn't agree with. And that was he did talk about how he was instituting the curfew, and I understand that. I can see that. I can get with that. But he did say that uh, business owners go get anything expensive from your business, right? Now, I one of the callers to WJOB stated, these are not my words, these are his. He stated, he's like, it seems to me that it was more of a sorry about your luck kind of a thing. Um, and instead of saying, I'll make sure the police protect your property, it was a, hey, you might want to go get your stuff. Uh, I will say this. I think it was a good idea for the mayor to convey that. Is again, I'm not a fan of his. However, I think it's important that that was conveyed. I think it could have been done differently, but he has a unique way of speaking. Paul says, my mayor did extraordinary earlier at the mall. I did not get a chance to see that, but I have heard very good things, Paul. Uh, Paul also said, many are doing great here in NWI as a whole, with few exceptions for those I believe were brought in. So look, that's the other thing, right? We can't talk about these protests, right, without talking about the riots. Protesting and rioting are two very, very different things. I absolutely support addressing the government with your grievances. I support going to your government and saying, hey, this is not right. One of the things that one of the issues, right, that we have with our system is that in general, police officers are not held to a much higher standard in some cases as they should be. I'm former law enforcement. I support our law enforcement, right? There are things I believe that could be instituted to make sure that these things don't happen again. Uh, there's a lot of rumors swirling around about people that are bussed in from other areas, and we know this is a ripe opportunity for those who want to do harm, right? And that's unfortunate. It really is, because I think we're losing the message. One thing I will say is that the media seems much less focused on the virus and much more focused on the protests slash riots. None of these. You notice though, when we had, for example, in Michigan, we had all these people that peacefully and legally went to the state house to address grievances. No crimes were broken. They cleaned up after themselves. Same thing with Virginia, right? There was all this talk about, oh, they're spreading the virus. They're spreading the virus. Um, you're not hearing that with this, right? They're not making such a big deal out of it. Why not? Because it fits the agenda, in my opinion. And you're absolutely right, Paul. I support the rule of law and Constitution foremost. Uh, our Constitution is very, very clear, and there are some areas I believe that certain police departments, especially police departments, sheriffs, I think, are not all, but the majority of our sheriffs do a good job, because I think they take their oath very seriously. Um, but I think things get lost in the mix, especially in large urban police departments. Uh, there are certain rules, certain regulations. Also, let's remember that our law enforcement agencies have started to be trained by military people, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, because the community policing was always supposed to be the way, right? Community policing, form a bond with your neighbors, learn who they are, learn your area. Yeah, thank you, Paul. I was gonna share that. Flint officers were marching with Michiganders after they put their gear down. That's what I'm talking about. Because the officers, the sheriff there, went to. As a matter of fact, let me bring that up. I actually have the link for that. Let me get to that real quick, and I will show you. Let's see here. Let me get to it. Click. Boom. All right. It's this is a really touching thing, and even though it's TMZ, uh, so Saturday in in Michigan's Flint Township, where Genesee County Sheriff Chris Swanson engaged protesters in the wake of George Floyd's brutal killing at the hands of road cops. Swanson had a real conversation with some folks in the crowd saying, quote, "This is the way it's supposed to be. Police working with the community. When we see injustice, we call it out on the police side and on the community side. All we had to do was talk to them, and now we're walking with them." He added, "The cops in this community, we condemn what happened. That guy, talking about Chauvin, is not one of us." And with that, the sheriff and some of his deputies joined the crowd assembled in a target and began marching. They were united for more than 2 hours, and the march ended at Flint's police station, where things could have otherwise gotten out of hand. They were met by a line of deputies decked out in riot gear. The protesters and cops began talking, and it all ended with fist bumps and hugs. A glimmer of hope. Absolutely. A glimmer of hope indeed. Because, yes, Paul, thank you. As Paul said, nothing negative happened. It was a protest, not a riot. There is a very distinct difference. And just so everyone's aware, if I have to cut the video short, my friend, he actually had to go to work, so his girlfriend and his children are home by themselves. If for some reason the if the protest turns into a riot and they get close to my friend's house, she's supposed to call me, and I'm heading over there. We are far enough away. I don't think it's going to be an issue here where I live, but they are closer. So, yes, Timothy, you're absolutely right. When you break the law, you are not a protester. You are a criminal. And I'm all for protest. I said that before. That's what this country is about. But when you riot, you're now a criminal. There is a very distinct difference between protesting and looting, destroying property. My understanding is that I think it was River Oaks Mall in Calumet City was completely gutted, looted. The last I heard, WJOB was covering some. Here, we'll tune in for just a minute so you can hear kind of what's going on. Hold on, you can't hear.
You're on the air. What's going on?
Hi, Jim. It's Debbie.
Debbie, how are you? You're going to stay home tonight, right?
We left from where we were at and came home as soon as we heard what was going on.
I heard from your husband, Mike. He was a little worried about what was going on, so he wanted to get you home. I'm glad that he did that.
Yeah. Well, my older son called me a little bit ago. I don't know if he was seeing video from yesterday, but he said on Calumet and 171st there was something going on. But
yeah, that was from yesterday, and
okay, yeah, he's just rambling. He does that sometimes. Let's get back to it. Anyway. So, and really, this is what it comes down to. When you have businesses that are being destroyed, when you have homes, areas that are being destroyed, that is not protesting anymore. There is nothing wrong with protesting. I'm all for it. But when our business owners have to worry about their businesses, they have to worry about barricading their doors. And at Shoe Carnival, they actually had to hide in the safe, the big double safe, because people were running in there and looting the place. It's really, really unfortunate, and we've all seen it. There is something that I wanted to show you for those of you that may or may not be familiar with. Here, I'm going to close this tab so we lose a little bit of the lag here. You may or may not be familiar with Q and QAnon. There is an attempt now that you'll see from MSNBC to tie QAnon together with Antifa, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't know if you know this, but the two could not be more on opposite sides. The Q movement, whatever you want to call it, is nonviolent, does not wish harm, is not people are starting riots or any of that stuff. Let me show you the tweet that I ran across earlier. Let me get this shared. Let's see here. Boom, there we go. So I'm going to move the mic over here so that you can hear what is going on with this. There we go.
The fault of the elected officials, but only really saying that the blame lies with those who are Democrats, which is significant, Stephanie. And I believe as he is taking on Antifa, if I'm not mistaken, the president has just elevated something that comes from QAnon, another extremist group. So as he's trying to take on one, he seems to be amplifying another. The president didn't have any events here open to the cameras here. Also, he has just tweeted.
So once again, we see the mainstream media trying to connect. As he takes on one, he's amplifying another. As you can see, they're trying to join them together. This could not be further from the truth. So Dave says we have a major protest going on at South Lake Mall right now. Yes, the last I had heard, they were across 30. As a matter of fact, I have a personal connection with someone who is actually holding the line there right now. So my prayers go out to everyone that is involved there. I do not want harm to come to anyone. Violence is not the answer. Hopefully have your protest, hold your signs, do your chant. Yes, absolutely, Dave. Keep us informed, please. I had seen that there was a watch party from someone. Let me know what happens. I know that the last that I saw of that area, they were, yes, Paul says they were blocking the highway, and they just stretched across the highway. They had their signs. They were chanting. That's all fine. That's a protest. I don't think you should be blocking the highway, but apparently the police had the highway blocked off, so they expected that. Apparently the issues yesterday in Hammond started when the protesters wanted to go to the interstate and block the interstate. They held them back, and yeah, thank you, Paul. Paul said Tammy had a watch party. I noticed Sean had one earlier as well. There are a few, I guess, region news sources covering it. I have not seen what's going on here in Michigan City. I agree, Stephen. Hopefully it doesn't escalate. Has there been any more mention of Hammond? Has any of that resumed, or did they stop after yesterday? I know Maryville is in the line of fire today. We have many cities across the United States where we're having a lot of problems. And look, when it comes down to protest versus riot, I'm all for protesting. I'm not all for rioting. a lot of attention is being called to the tweet that was sent out by Donald Trump. I'll bring it up for you so you can see it. Where they believe that he actually quoted when was it? They believe that I'm trying to find it here. Let me share this screen so you can see. Yes, Stephen, protesting is fine as long as it's not a riot. There are riots in Cal City, absolutely. So look, let me show you some of these videos that are coming out. This is rioting, right? This is rioting. When this is the aftermath, you can see this, right? Let me make sure. Yes. So these are some of the things that really bother me. So according to I believe it was the St. Paul mayor who had said that 80% were from out of state. Now he's walking that comment back, but at the time he had said 80% of them were from out of state, and they are harming businesses, right? Communities are being harmed. Here is the tweet here. It says, the United States of America will be designating Antifa as a terrorist organization. It has 622,000 likes. And for those people who don't know the difference between what the name Antifa says and what it actually means, I'm sorry. There's a reason that the Antifa logo looks exactly like the anti-fascist logo of the 30s. The same general people are behind it, and it's the same beliefs. And when you attack someone because they believe differently than you, that is fascism. You can call yourself anti all day long, but for those who want to shut down discourse because someone believes differently than you, that is a fascist type behavior. Timothy, Martin Luther King, he never would have wanted this looting and rioting. He was one of the greatest men who lived, and for those of you who are not aware, there's actual proof that our government was responsible for his death. That's something that I hope gets a lot more press. Matter of fact, let's see if I can give you a link for that. Google has been a lot more, well, let's say a lot less lefty lately, which I find interesting. But let's see here. Let me pull this up. Okay, so yes, they actually had a trial and everything. I'll show you. At the King Center, was assassinated as a result of a conspiracy. In a press statement, Mrs. Coretta Scott King, 12 jurors reached a unanimous verdict on December 8th, 1999, after about an hour of deliberations, that he was assassinated as a result of a conspiracy. There is abundant evidence of a major high-level conspiracy in this assassination of my husband, and the civil court's unanimous verdict has validated our belief. I wholeheartedly applaud the verdict of the jury and feel that justice has been well served. Justice has been well served in their deliberations. Verdict is not only a great victory for my family, but also a great victory for America. There is a lot to it, right? Extensive evidence was presented during the trial that in addition to Mr. Jowers, the conspiracy of the mafia, local, state, and federal government agencies were deeply involved in the assassination of her husband. The jury also affirmed overwhelming evidence that identified someone else, not James Earl Ray, as the shooter, and that Mr. Ray was set up to take the blame. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just one symptom of a larger problem. We have a government that for many, many, many years has been completely out of control. Yes, Paul, both JFK and MLK were great and incredible men. They each had their flaws, but they each made fantastic strides in their time. I hope to be half the men they were. We need real reform in our government. We need real accountability, and we need people that are willing to put the information out about what's really going on, what's really happening. Now, before we go any further, I want to put this out there. If anyone, I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter to me who you're voting for. If you are afraid to go to the voting booth for early voting or on Tuesday, let me know. Let me know. I will escort you. I will drive you if you like. If you are afraid to leave your house, if you are concerned about your safety, I do have a permit. Those of you, who know me are not shocked about this. I got the Second Amendment on the back of my vehicle for a reason. And let's talk about the Second Amendment for a moment. This is what's going on across the nation is one reason why I am so in favor of the Second Amendment. We should all have the right and ability to defend ourselves. I don't know if you've seen, there's a picture that's going around where there was an officer that was separated from his squad, and there's a group of men that had surrounded him to protect him in the midst of a riot. And it was all different colors, right? It wasn't one color or another color, just this, just that. It was all colors coming together, and it was very touching. And that's a good point, Stephen. All the riots do seem to be taking place in the blue cities. Yeah, and I'm with you, Timothy. I personally believe that we shouldn't have to get a concealed carry permit. I personally believe that the Constitution is my permit, but I do issued to me in 1776. I'm with you, sir. But just to be safe, I went through, did the fingerprints, did the background check, got my license, just because I don't want any issues, right? I paid the money, and I've talked about this before. Having to pay money to exercise our constitutional right, I'm not in favor of that. I would like to see 50 state reciprocity on our permits, but personally, I'd like constitutional carry, but one small step, right? But I do want to put out there, whoever you're going to vote for, you don't even have to tell me who you're going to vote for. You don't have to tell me whether you're going to pull a Democrat ticket or a Republican ticket. If you need a ride to the voting booth, if you don't feel safe going to the voting booth, let me know, and I'm more than happy to take you to go vote. It is one of our most precious rights in this country. And no matter how you're going to vote, yeah, I'd love it if you vote for me, but I'm not even going to ask you, because it's none of my business who you vote for. It's none of anyone's business who you vote for. Your vote is a very, very personal thing. It is one of the last remaining, especially in the general, it's one of the last remaining secrets that we have in order to exercise our right, especially, look, when it comes to buying a firearm. You go to a federal firearms dealer, you have to fill out the form. The government knows you're buying a gun. You go to apply for your permit, got to go through all that. The government knows you're armed. When you go to vote, yeah, you're registered. But when you actually cast your vote in the general election, now in the primary, yeah, you got to pick Republican or Democrat, which a lot of people have problems with, and I understand. I understand your frustration with that. But when we go and we vote, it's a very, very personal thing. It's one of the few things that we have left to us in this society. I personally would like to start rolling back some of the government overreach. Yes, good in every state. I wholeheartedly agree. Uh, we shouldn't need half of the hoops that we have to jump through in order to arm ourselves. But they're there, and it is. Steven says, I'm glad you brought Donald Rainwater on your show. I'll be voting for him for governor. Look, I think it's really important that we have a good verbal discussion with those who may not perfectly align with us. I will admit, I do have a few, libertarian friends. I have a few that don't fit into the Republican mold, especially some of the more stereotypical type, Republicans. I'm very, very Republican, very conservative, but I get it, right? Libertarian is, there are those, right? There are some in the Libertarian Party that are hard to take seriously. There are others that are like, they make a lot of sense. What do you think? Have you looked into the presidential nominee for the Libertarian Party, Joe Jorgensen, I think the name is? I haven't had a chance to do a lot of research. I've seen some of the posts; they sound pretty good. It's gonna be hard to get me to vote for anyone else other than behind me here. But Paul says Donald has a lot of traction. Please help us pass the word on. I don't know if you caught the show, not last night, but the night before, about the poll that the Republican Party did for, let's see here, who was it? Oh yeah, they emailed me, and they had run a poll for Curtis Hill and Eric Holcomb. Now, even I was a little iffy about the numbers on this poll, because it was like 80 something percent approved of the job Eric Holcomb did. Whereas it was funny because it was such a high approval rating of Holcomb and then such a low approval rating of Hill. We'll see. I don't know. I will tell you though, after Tuesday, I'm going to do a show. I'm probably going to take some time off, but I'm going to do a show and break down all of the attorney general candidates, and let's look at it in depth. I don't know. I would have said that I was probably between Curtis Hill and Westerkamp, just because I don't know Harder at all. I don't like the way that whole thing went down. I just don't like it. I reached out to Krupp. I didn't hear back from him. Then all of a sudden he's not running and Harder is. But with Rokita jumping in the race, what do you think? I don't know. Rokita is a very well-known name. He was Secretary of State. He's very well known in the Republican Party, a strong conservative voice. I don't know. I think Rokita has a better shot of standing up in the general than Curtis Hill does. And if we don't put forward as delegates, if we don't put forward someone who actually can hold on to the attorney general seat, if we hand it off, we're going to be hurting. We're going to be hurting in this state. Stephen, look, he says, I'm hoping either you or Spencer make it to the general election. I have a good feeling we can flip this district red. So I'm going to tell you, I like Spencer. I've covered this before. Personally, I think I'm stronger on some things than he is. He doesn't have much of a health plan, really, at all. He doesn't stand firm on some things. He hasn't spoken up when he had the opportunities to. But I like him. I do. I think that no matter who wins. Oh, Jack says Walmart LaPorte just closed. Possible rioters coming in LaPorte. Already? You know what I heard? So listen, my mother-in-law, she actually works at CVS, and there were some officers in there that were talking, and they said they were sending a whole bunch of officers up to Michigan City just in case, right? I wonder if people decided to go to LaPorte while the officers are in Michigan City. Uh, so Jack says Valpo Walmart closed, South Lake Mall vandalized. Hey, Mary, good to see you. We're trying. We're trying. So unfortunately, it's all over. It's all over. Uh, I can tell you that I'm not going to allow people to come in and vandalize my home or my business, my buddy, uh, standing ready just in case. I hope that they didn't choose to move to LaPorte while everyone was here, because we know that the ones who, oh, absolutely. Mary says she's in Lansing with her babies. This is where I need to be. Got to protect my babies. Absolutely. Absolutely. Uh, Protect your children by all means. And that is one thing that I absolutely will do. US 30 closed by DOT at South Lake. Windows broken on Mississippi Avenue in Hobart/Maryville. Steven says this is insane. I stayed home all day because I'm afraid these people will make it into my neighborhood. Yeah. So look, I was out earlier today, and I was talking with a lot of voters, and they're really concerned about this protest here in Michigan City. Protest is fine, right? But they are concerned that it's going to spread into something that's no longer a protest. I have heard a lot of very, very disturbing rumors about people being bussed in from out of state, out of town, paid agitators. We've seen this for a while now. We know Antifa will pay people to go and destroy things. I don't know what this country's coming to. There are a lot of people that believe that Trump is the reason for it, which I counter with, what does Trump have to do with any of these demonstrations? Nothing. He's had nothing he doesn't have anything to do with this. But you can't talk sense to people that are brainwashed by mainstream media, MSNBC, CNN, things like that. So it looks like, yeah, Jack says he's at a, yes, by all means, businesses, Michigan Boulevard protesters walking. This is what I hear, Stephen. He says Soros is funding all this. That's my understanding as well. We don't have documents yet, but I'm sure they're coming. Now, I have heard that they have been tracking Antifa and the tree right back to the roots for a long time now, and hopefully arrests are coming. That's what I'm hoping. Paul says that Lowe's is closed. Mary, absolutely. Protect your babies with absolutely everything. I get that people seem to think that the president is divisive. I've heard that from several people on the left, even today. But I'm going to tell you, I don't think that it's Donald Trump himself that's divisive. I believe that it's the mainstream media that has taken his words out of context, that has called him racist, all kinds of names in the book. And look, whomever makes it to the general election out of the Republicans, we need to stand strong together. We need to come together, because we're going to be called all these things. It doesn't matter if we're not. It doesn't matter that, we look at everyone equally. That's the MO these days. They're going to come after whoever wins, and we're going to get called every name in the book. And I'm prepared for that. I don't care what people call me. I think pretty much everyone else is that's running I hope they're ready for the names and the taking clips out of context and all that stuff. But I want everyone to stay safe out there. And again, one more time. Yeah, I said that one more time. If anyone needs a ride to the polls, it doesn't matter how you're voting. I don't even want to know. Just let me know. And I'm more than happy to escort you there or drive you there myself. Yeah, Stephen, that's my take too. Trump is a good guy. I believe that. He's not perfect. No, he's not. But he is what we need right now. And look, this is what it comes down to. Can you imagine with the state of unrest that everything is happening right now? And look, COVID, the protesters, the rioting, all of the things that have gone on. Can you imagine anyone else in charge right now? Can you imagine how bad it would be?
I think what it is you're dealing with polished politicians versus not.
Yeah, and that is a big part of it. The wife said you're seeing polished politicians versus someone who just says what's on his mind, right? He doesn't have someone read through the tweets 4 times before he actually sends them. He just puts out what's on his mind. Yeah, Paul, I get it, man. And he says, I'd prefer someone follow the Constitution, though. And Stephen agrees. I do, too. I wish he would speak about the Constitution, Bill of Rights more. Same, Paul Wave. It just comes down to this is what we have right now. And I just don't know that anyone else could get half of what he's gotten done. He is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and in some cases, I think that this could have been done better. That could have been done better, but I'm also the only one that will call out, hey, this is an infringement. This is that. But we are where we are, and this is what we got. So. I'm still trying to find if there's an actual executive order. But I don't see anything. Okay, so yeah, apparently. Okay, so what I'm able to figure out is that Trump sent a tweet out about Antifa, and then the Attorney General sent out his statement, which I've already shown you, regarding riots and domestic terrorism. So we'll see. Yeah, Stephen, I agree. The amount of work he's done makes me think, what have all these other politicians been doing this entire time? He's a hard worker. I agree. I agree. Dave says governor of Minnesota is a polished politician. How's that working? Yes, Mary, you're absolutely right. 9 p.m. curfew for Hammond. If you live in Hammond or need to travel to Hammond, you may want to try to get that done before 9 p.m. Jack just let us know Michigan City PD is surrounded. They are chanting, "Don't shoot."
The police are surrounded, or the protesters?
No, the police department is surrounded. I'm sure he's talking about the police protest. The protesters are chanting, "Don't shoot," because it's probably the thing that they've been doing. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm concerned for the businesses here in Michigan City. I'm concerned for our citizens here. It is what it is. They hopefully it stays a protest. This is one thing that let's see if I can find it. It was on Facebook, this event, and what it said was, we are nonviolent, right? We are nonviolent. That was stated. but then it said destruction of property is not violence. Now, I don't agree with that. When you start destroying property, when you start looting, we have a problem. So that does concern me. That's what I meant at the beginning, where I said there was something about this that doesn't disturb me, or that does concern me, and it is disturbing. I just hope that it stays a protest. And it was really late too, right? What another thing that I find very odd is the timing of these things. There's one earlier, in Hammond, then another one here a little later, then another one here a little later. 6 p.m. is really late to be organizing test. And I agree with you, Paul. Destruction of anyone's property, I believe, is violence. The entire way the thing was worded really kind of gave me pause, and I've kept an eye on it. Paul says he sincerely hopes that everyone at least looks into Jorgensen Cohen without bias. I'll look. I don't have a problem looking at and learning about candidates. All too often we make decisions hastily, right? There are some people that have contacted me that have said, after the debate, that they kind of regretted already voting for someone else besides me, especially after the recap, or excuse me, the encore. That's kind of why I wait until, the last moment to.
That's why you don't give an endorsement, because you don't know who's going to end strong.
Wow.
You could start out strong and weak. You could start out weak and strong. That's why you keep your endorsement to yourself at the end of the primary.
I don't know if you can hear her, but she's going on. So I'm going to wrap up with this one more time. If you need a ride to the polls, contact me. You can contact me via my website. You can email me, talk@dionbergeron.com. You can message me on Facebook. All these things are ways to get in touch with me. We're almost there, ladies and gentlemen. We are almost there. For those of you that have been very involved, you are, of course, invited to the party, the end of primary party. But unfortunately, the number of people we can invite is very, very limited. We're hoping that the business is very, very quiet. I hate to say that, but I'm hoping they don't have that many people there. But we should be upstairs at Zorn. If you need a ride, and if you want to come but can't make it, need a ride, let me know. But yay, Mary. Mary says she's working the polls November 2nd. Very good. Kaminsky. She, good. Yeah, they need poll workers, especially now. I guess there are a lot of things. I will say GOA, Stephen, is Gun Owners of America, and they are much. Look, after Wayne LaPierre, the NRA, I'm not. Let's say I'm not happy with them currently. They have caved on too many things. Gun Owners of America, and I do agree, the 2aproject.com, started by Guy Ralford out of Indianapolis, the gun guy. Those are very good organizations, in my opinion. And it's down to the wire. We're almost there. Today's the 31st. Tomorrow's Monday. Tuesday is the primary, ladies and gentlemen. Tuesday is the primary. And look, no matter how it goes, whether I win or do not win, it has been a pleasure and an honor. And I will continue doing the show after a short break. Hopefully I'll get some interesting people on and have some stuff like that. But if I do win, it's time. Yeah, I'm still taking a short break, but we're really going to launch into the general, and we're going to need all the help we can get. So if you can volunteer, if you can whatever. Now, I'm going to tell you this. We had a little powwow with the Republican candidates before the FOP debate where we were all. Now, I'm going to give you a little insider info here. So we met up. It was at Purdue North Central. Or not North Central, Purdue Calumet is where it was. And it was the Hammond or Hobart? Hammond FOP. Hammond FOP had hosted it. And so we had all the candidates in there, the Democrats, right? They all kept to themselves. They didn't really hang out. Then we had the Republicans, and Spencer and Mont and I were talking. Delano went and sat by himself. He didn't want anything to do with us. That's okay. We all agreed that no matter which one of us makes it into the general, we are going to do everything we can to help that person, because it is absolutely critical that we present a united front. Steven said, I voted already this past Tuesday. Good luck. I appreciate that. Look, we all know that you're not a me guy, and that's fine. That's fine, because I'm going to tell everyone, no matter who you vote for, thank you for voting. I truly appreciate it, because a few things we have left. Mary says, love watching your show. Hey, yeah. And that is the way it should be. One of the things that we've all said from the beginning as well is, I actually talked to Spencer very early on the phone, and was talking about the USW and meeting them and all that. And we were trying to get this debate started, and him and I agreed, there are always character flaws in people, right? We're not going to attack character. We're not going to say this dude's a liar, or this guy is an idiot, or anything like that. We're going to stick to, hey, this policy is not good, right? Let's stick to policy. And that's what I've really tried to do that. I think that I have a better policy in this area, and he might have a better policy in this area, or he might in this area, because there's so much of that. I'm going to tell you this, though. It was really funny, is McDermott tried to send out flyers, right, mailers, bashing Mervan on, and going after him. And all he could find was that he had opened the golf course.
And then the plane.
Oh, I don't know if you heard about the plane.
You read my mind.
So there's a plane. Yeah. So if we had the funds, I'm going to tell you, if I had the money, we were going to get a plane that had hashtag where we go one, we go all on it, hashtag Dion for Congress, right?
Oh, Bergeron for Congress.
Bergeron, yeah, but you know what I mean, something like that. Anyway, I guess Mervan actually flew a plane over Hammond, over the mayor's house, right, and made a loop up and back, and it was Mervan for Congress, or Mervan, vote Mervan, something like that. Hilarious, right? Hilarious. She swears that they read her mind. Yes, Paul. Absolutely. Paul says, vote your conscience always. Always. It's never a wasted vote. Vote for the person that you truly believe represents your interests the best, that you truly believe is going to listen to you, is going to represent your views. Yeah. So here's the thing, Steven. I'm going to tell you, man. He says, I hope Mervan beats McDermott. So I'm going to lay it out, right? If I win the primary, look, who knows, right? When I win the primary, now anything can happen. I believe I have a really good chance. Some people don't, whatever. But if I do win the primary, I don't want to go against Frank Mervan. He's going to be very, very difficult. Not impossible to beat, but very difficult to beat. The only reason that I would like to see Mervan win is to see the fit that McDermott is going to throw.
It's gonna take 2 weeks
I
before we know.
Liz believes that he's going to demand a recount and all this stuff, which is completely possible.
Or he'll just throw it
But
out and, like, throw a temper tantrum.
yeah, or he might throw a temper tantrum. Who knows? But I'm going to tell you, is it impossible to beat Frank Bervan? No, it is not impossible. I think any of us three, myself, Spencer, or Mont, could conceivably beat him. I think different people have different percentage chances of that. But
Harper's got a bigger following, though, than
I
thought.
hear that Harper is is a lot more popular than I thought. If Jim Harper wins, I think it will be easy. Just because Harper is far left, like way, way, way left, like on the edge of California left. Steven says, is Mervan a moderate? Yes. Look, I'm going to tell you something, though, that's kind of with me about Mervan. And that is, initially, he was for Medicare for all. He had it on his webpage that he would like to see a phase in of Medicare for all. Once he got the USW endorsement, it disappeared. Now, if someone wants to get into it and use the Wayback Machine to go back to the beginning of his campaign and find it, that'd be awesome. But he is more moderate than most of them. I would say he and McDermott are very close, but McDermott actually has a concealed carry permit. He is as pro 2A ish. Listen, though, Mervan has made no bones about the fact that he will get rid of assault rifles. He will absolutely try to get rid of assault rifles. We all know there's no such thing, but I'm just using his words. Other than that, he is very moderate. So yeah, he's more left than McDermott by a tad, just because of his kind of anti-gun policies. But I have to agree with you, Mary. She says we got our work really cut out for us if Mervan wins. McDermott is going to throw one heck of a hissy fit. I will LMAO. Yes, so will I.
God, it'll be glorious.
Yeah.
Epic. Like,
Yeah.
throw parties.
I'm sorry. You're right, Paul. My mistake. License to carry handgun, not concealed carry permit. You're right. My mistake. And look, this is what it comes down to for me. I'm human. I make mistakes. I'm used to referring to something in a certain way, even if it's incorrect. By all means, call me on it. I will correct it. I don't have an issue with admitting when I misspeak or make an error. It happens. I am human. But I think we're going to have a hard time as a Republican Party with Mervan. Harper is full on progressive, Medicare for all. Get rid of every single gun in the universe. White people are bad. If you guys haven't had a chance to see the Zoom politicking roundtable, Harper is full on. Yeah, we're bad. Yes, thank you, Paul. You get me trained. So it's just he is full left. I will say this though, he seems like a nice guy. I don't think that he's a mean person, but he and Scott Costello, their policies are virtually identical. And Jim Harper has a lot more money and a lot more followers, I think, than
Harper's got
the other guy.
followers that are supposedly Republican.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Harper even has some followers that are supposedly Republicans. So actually, Stephen, he says, so McDermott is the weak Democrat side. I think he's the easiest to beat.
Oh, for sure. You got
Just because you've got that are against him already. Actually, Visklosky endorsed Mervan, just so you know. The USW endorsed Frank Mervan, despite I'm pro union worker. We had a nice long talk. They actually had a discussion of one Democrat and one Republican, but and Paul does make a point. He says, I feel Frank will actually listen to us more than any others on that side.
Here's my problem with Frank. He's great at mitigating poverty. Lost your job, you're running out of money, and that's awesome.
Yeah, you got to quit talking off screen. Either come here, and say it where they can hear you, because you're distracting me and it makes for a bad show. There you go.
Frank's great at mitigating when the poverty hits, when the job loss hits. But I honestly don't see him have a plan to prevent any of that. You've got to be able to prevent the job loss and the poverty, not just deal with it.
Yeah, which is one reason why I want to bring in some good careers, set DSPs up, direct service providers, as a good quality career path. I've talked about all this before. I won't bore you. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We have one more show lined up for tomorrow night, pre-primary, and then we'll see what happens. I'm gonna go live from Zorn at our party. We'll be reaching out to those of you who listen. For what it's worth, if it wasn't this limit on and the business itself and all that, whoever wanted to come could by all means show up. But yeah, if you want to show up, we're going to be at Zorn. 6 p.m., 6:30. 6:30 is when we'll start. They close at like 10. I'm hoping, yeah, Steven, that's a good point. He says we don't need another Visklosky running this district. So this is the big thing that I'm hearing about Frank Mervan, is he even dresses like Visklosky. He's got Visklosky endorsing him. He's Visklosky 2.0. And I think we need a change. We've got Democrat policies for 90 plus years. Are we better off? Right? Have they revolutionized the district? No. So I appreciate everyone coming out. Zorn, 6:30 Tuesday, 6:30 till whenever they close, and we'll have cake, a few beers, and be hanging out. And I'll try to set it up to go live there. But
and non-alcoholic drinks too.
Yeah, we'll have non-alcoholic drinks as well. So I appreciate all the support from you, ladies and gentlemen. And no matter what happens, God bless you and God bless the USA.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Sean Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2020. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.